A Hairier problem. Rise of the Furball. My Blue Bastard. Chapter 14. The Train of Terror. Apple Bloom, started Applejack. Her leg fell the 100th time. I'm telling you, I don't know how my room got full of kites, answered Apple Bloom. Probably it falls a certain cat demon. Well, some pony knows how, and I'll try to find out, declared Applejack barely. The previous night hadn't been one that he could sleep easily through. The sudden appearance of lightning dust and the fact that he was starting to turn into a werewolf had been on the farm pony's mind all night. Her conscience refusing to let go of the idea that she herself was the reason for Dust's condition. The only time she ever truly lost control of herself during her time as a werewolf. Hassle memories of the brief incident only coming back to her slowly. But even well over a year later, the full course of events remained unknown to her. It was entirely possible she may have bitten Dust during the fighting. As far as Applejack knew, there was no actual way to identify if Dust had been bitten by her or Sable. She could be honest to herself, not without admitting feeling some guilt over the initial event's outcome. Even it had been mostly Dust's fault. So, when she finally managed to get an unrestful slumber, with every intention to take a rare day of sleeping in, only to be awakened a few short hours by a large racket from Apple Bloom's room, she had been pretty angry. Then she was in shock as the house itself suddenly began to shudder violently. At the same time, a large pile of cats seemingly poured out of one of Apple Bloom's windows in front of the homestead. Right now, all the cat owners of Plainville had journeyed to Sweet Apple Acres in search of answers as to why their felines had been stolen in the middle of the night and for the felines themselves. You can count on me in that hunt, huffed Rarity, peering from the side of the still twisting pile of cats like a bloated whale. A lady should not have to be forced to resort to this kind of business to find her cat. Still, don't worry, Upper. Mama's coming! She then promptly dived right back into the giant furballs in search of her cat. I still don't get how somebody managed to get all those cats in the house, Babs commented, walking up to her cousins. Yup, replied, passing the trio with a cart. A silent pile of cats in front of Apple Homestead was making entry and leaving the house to the front door very awkward. So it was decided to load them into some apple carts and truck them down to Plainville, both to reduce the pile's size and to speed up returning the pets to their owners. It was the trouble with the whole cat pile that had Apple Bloom and Babs Seed stay at the farm to help clean up the mess, while all the other fillies in town went to school regularly. However, it was a free day off neither filly wanted, and while Apple Bloom was still finding the urge to wolf out and go chase all the cats, she still had enough self-control to suppress the inclination, or so she thought. Hey, Apple Bloom, you okay? Asked Babs worriedly as the two fillies loaded cat after cat individually onto the cart. Your eyes are going back and forth full shifty like, as if you're on the edge about something. Oh, yeah, sure, I'm fine, replied Apple Bloom. You sure? Babs, I woke up to find my room was packed full of cats and no pony knows how. Of course I'm on edge, especially, well, because, well, that's not important. But all you need to know now is I'm perfectly A-okay. Especially because, what? Thought Babs, eyeing Apple Bloom suspiciously as she loaded more carts onto the cart. She didn't notice her hose reaching for a conspicuously uncat-like curly tail, which she proceeded to tug on. You! Well, it's a distinctly faked accent as Randy's heard burst from the ground, one eye twitching in pain. This is gonna be a long day, moaned Apple Bloom, facing while Rarity angrily turned to face the embarrassed Babs. Within her private chambers, Celestia worriedly paced through several different records that few other ponies other than princesses knew existed. Discord's words from a few days ago about that phoenix being some kind of prophesied harbinger of bad tidings still echoed in her head, louder than ever when she received 2 letters from the 2 princesses based away from the capital. The letter from Cadence had been concerning enough. The idea that there was a pony just as powerful in dark magic as Sombra boggled Celestia's mind. While in theory any unicorn could use dark magic, the rate at which dark magic burned through a pony's magic well was so high that only unusually powerful magic users could effectively maintain dark magic over any considerable length of time. Then, in regards to dark magic being highly uncontrollable by its very nature, the pony would need to have great ability controlling magic either through skill and or talent to actually direct the dark magic spell to do what was desired by the caster. Unicorns who possess both the magic well capacity and the potential for mastering extremely high-level spells were secretly registered by crown officials and kept under surveillance. Celestia's own school, wisely created to help train young unicorns with their powers, such that should the time come they can help defend Equestria, served as a means of watching over the children of unusual ability and to assert that they didn't even try to go down the path of darkness. All unicorns who are school-aged were required by law to be evaluated by a local maze when they showed any kind of sophisticated control over the magic. With any candidate who came within a set range of the estimate minimum magic power needed to have any dark magic ability automatically were getting a scholarship from the princess herself to the school, and their name on the registry. In addition, all records of pony births were required to be submitted by all towns to Carolot for archival record keeping. Which is why Twilight's latest letter just made Celestia even more concerned. Apparently, Raspberry Barrel came from a town called Lonesome Dove, but due to an abusive father, she received horn damage and had trouble casting even basic telekinesis. Logically, Twilight surmised in her letter that while she felt Barrel's aura as being different from the usual, it was not dark magic. If everything was all right, there was nothing out of the ordinary with what Twilight had said, even though it saddened Celestia to hear of a father abusing his foal. Then she reread the letter and noted Twilight had been told by Beryl the town of Lonesome Dove was a pure Earth pony settlement right up until Raspberry was born. A pony settlement made up entirely of one subspecies of pony was not unheard of, since only Pegasus ponies could live in cloud cities, for obvious reasons. But even so, it was odd that a unicorn was born to two Earth ponies without any further explanation given by Beryl. It became even stranger when the records for Lonesome Dove weren't all that consistent. Sure enough, on the list of newborns, there was a Raspberry Barrel listed, but due to the town not having unicorns, there should have been a request sent for an evaluator to travel to Lonesome Dove when Raspberry became old enough to attend school. Except there was no record of such a request ever having been made by Lonesome Dove, or of a royal evaluator having gone to town anyway. There was suddenly a knock on the door. "Come in," said Celestia, not looking to see who it was. She already knew the idea of the new arrival. "Say, I thought I was supposed to be the loving recluse on you, the public face of the monarchy," asked Luna, walking up to her sister's side. "I'm the one who is supposed to be overseeing court right now." "I canceled court for today. At one point, what's his name, Camp Custer or something, was probably going to try to talk out in favor for a 2% reduction of taxes the wealthy must pay, and I really just cannot deal with the stupidity." "Seti, you dealt with idiots like that for centuries on your own. Surely I didn't deal with them at the same time for a potential national crisis was potentially forming up." Luna raised an eyebrow. "What are you talking about? We aren't anything close to hostile with any of our neighboring countries. I mean, even the Griffins don't want to wage war against us right now. And you know how much they would love to get their hands on the mining colonies near their southern border?" Celestia leaned back on her haunches, closing her eyes and putting her hands on her temples. "Remember what I told you about what Discord was doing that whole day he was out at Canterlot? Wasn't Mother involved in that somehow?" "Yes, that one. As far as any pony knows, Discord has an interest in that Green Phoenix, who currently accompanies that unicorn mare named Raspberry Barrel. Her story, as relayed from Twilight, checks out up until there is apparently a grave violation of a royal edict." Celestia continued to relay her feelings to her younger, darker sister, Lilith letting her see Twilight's lair, where the story of Raspberry Barrel had been recorded. "Sid, you're saying something's wrong here, because no pony associated with the crowd ever went to evaluate this Raspberry Barrel when she of age," asked Luna, glancing about the top of the lair was held in her hooves. "Correct. You know why. What with me having to explain the reason half a zillion times back when you first returned, and your own experience with the consequences of not having that policy?" Luna briefly shuddered. Even as a filly, Luna was the second most powerful magic user in the country, possibly the world, but unlike Celestia, she hadn't put in as much time or effort to master her magic controlling skills. Jessie tried overthrowing Celestia with dark magic, only the dark magic put her under its control, leading the monster named Nightmare Moon. This is a mistake that could have been costly for Equestria, a unicorn whose only record of existence buried in the one place no pony would have sought to look. If this had been an intentional plan, it's actually quite brilliant, really. The diamond hidden among the, doesn't say a word here that works in reference to Earth ponies. It doesn't make me sound like one of those upper-class snobs. Celestia couldn't help but sheepishly grin at having tripped over her own words. Luna smirked back in response, but quickly reserved a nonchalant expression as he reread that part of the letter. Steady. Did you ever consider that maybe it was intentionally overlooked and at some point come out to evaluate this unicorn? Celestia whipped her head around to face her sister for the entire time during the conversation. Are you suggesting some point denied the will of the crown? Luna looked incredulous as Celestia returned. Did you just say what I think you just said? Celestia rised in her annoyance. Yes, I did. And no, Lulu, I'm not suddenly turning into some egotistical tyrant bitch like some of my enemies want every pony to believe. But for some pony or some ponies under my authority like this, which goes from the local town government all the way to us, that could be a problem. Yes, practically all of the ponies in Equestria love their Alicorn rulers, practically throwing themselves at us to bestow their worship. But we are not omnipresent. We're merely ponies who are gifted with powers well beyond. She was silenced by Luna's gentle hoof being placed on her muzzle. Night Princess bearing a smile on her own muzzle. Said, we already fought the Civil War centuries ago. The only time we ever had to accept more authority than a little displeasure was when you briefly fought Chrysalis. You are never going to let me live that down, are you? Groaned Celestia, getting her plot handed to her by the Queen of Changelings at the wedding, along with having been fooled about the fact that her niece had been replaced by Chrysalis for about a week, was the most humiliating effect he had been subject to for the past 50 years, even accounting for the fact that Chrysalis had been supercharged by Shiny's love. Luna smiled. I foolishly tried to overthrow you, got turned into a monster, plunged our country into civil war, and then tried to do it again after my 1,000 years on the moon. You also give me no end of trouble because my duties include visiting ponies in their dreams. Allow me just one thing to hold over your head as you have so many of mine. But that's getting off track. The truth is, it's a story to be believed. Raspberry's father didn't want her learning magic. Why would somebody like that want his child evaluated for her magic ability when he wanted her to have none? You bring up a good point, Lulu, agreed Celestia. But we will need to send somebody to investigate Lonesome Dove. Undermining royal authority simply because of one's position on how to raise a foal is something that cannot go unanswered. I hope you don't stick him on my moon, aggressed Luna jokingly. I like my moon the way it is right now. With the several life-size plush dolls of Big Mac I put up there? Yes, with the— Wait, what?! That night, Dara Tiara and Silver Spoon secretly met up outside the schoolhouse, without having no idea what the former had in their packs. So it appeared the roomful of cats idea didn't quite work, said Fair Vista, emerging from behind the schoolhouse. The moonlight illuminated her form, such that she appeared to be a tinted glass sculpture, one that could kill you with its claws or teeth. I'll admit, after all the stress and trouble we went through to get all those cats, the fact that actually nothing happened is disappointing. We should have thrown her stupid dog there, too, commented Daima. That would have riled them up. Vista shot down to her nasty look. Completely undermined the whole point of stealing every cat in town. I know I have torn apart every last cat if I had been at Philly's place. As accustomed as I am to the non-pony urges that come with being a werewolf, I do enjoy being violent to felines. Pink Philly rolled her eyes. Yeah, I get it. You're a dog. We're not. So, what now? Asked Silver reluctantly. She still had some bandages from the previous night, which had her get scratched by quite a few angry cats trying to capture them. Thankfully, her parents had brought the excuse she had been helping clean out the cats at Sleep Apple Acres. She wasn't too keen on trying that stunt again. This time, we're going to try one of my ideas, Tiara said, confidently putting her saddlebags down and opening the reveal. They were full of all kinds of vials. Silver and Vista quickly glanced at each other to make sure they weren't the only ones who knew what the point of this was. Then back at Tiara, who opened up one of the vials. Instantly, the smell new garlic put out. I did a little more research, and I found out that werewolves actually hate garlic. Fair Vista started. Her knowledge based on what werewolves being impossible to doubt. She thought better of it, then best to keep a straight face while the raw stench of garlic assaulted her undead senses. I actually can't tell you when I was alive, Sable and I didn't really bother with spices and things for a meal. The raw taste was enough for us. That's pleasant, grimaced Silver, clearly trying not to go green or face for the overwhelming smell and the sudden R-rated film playing in her head. Tiara, where did you get all this? Oh, you know, the local aromatherapist, Shut replied the wealthy brat. Earlier that day, who the buck stole my garlic scented oils? Screamed Sandalwood, her voice echoing from inside the spa to cover about a fourth of Ponyville. The wealthiest filly in town, and you still steal what you need. My, you are more like me than I gave you credit for. So what do you plan to do for all this garlic? Isn't obvious? Asked Yar. We'll drown the schoolhouse in this stuff. Make it unbearable for Apple Bloom to set hoof in it. Fisto looked like she was going to say more, but then snapped her neck towards the forest as she heard something. My attention is currently needed elsewhere, but I'll check in with you two again tomorrow night. In other words, the ghost werewolf saw into the night. She made sure she was at least a good kilometer away before she dared to stop running and start laughing. Garlic! Oh, Sable, what morons that Twin and her friend are, and they think garlic has any effects on werewolves! I've got to be there when this backfires. That was one of the shortest days of school I ever had, said Skulu. The four Crusaders hiking back to Apple Lake. Here's for haunts. Yeah, do you think it was the garlic smell? Asked Slee. I was sure it was the smell. Seriously, it wasn't bothering any of you all as much as mine? Asked Apple Bloom. I could tell it was the most powerful garlic smell I've ever encountered, which is saying a lot, since I know a Manhattan pizza has heavy applications of, commented Babs. Poor Miss Cherry. I don't think she's familiar with the power of garlic aroma. Those spasms she went into the moment she came into the schoolhouse? Definitely somebody who has a natural distaste of garlic. Indeed, while all the fellows at culture were students of the schoolhouse and reacted poorly to the sudden presence of garlic, the teachers seemed to have a considerably allergic reaction. Empty quickly, the students hurriedly dragged their school marm back to the unguardedly open air at the outside, and Skulu shot off on her scooter to get medical attention. School was to turn canceled for the rest of the day by order of Dr. Stable. Like, maybe she's a vampire? No, that's usually final. Oh, hardy, har. Slee was dead serious about the question. Everybody knows vampires don't like garlic. Vampires don't like this, sweetie, answered Skulu. Rainbow Dash said so. What about werewolves? Does Rainbow think they exist? Babs had intentionally been quick about the question, paying more attention to Apple Bloom's sudden flincing, so Skulu confirming Dash didn't think werewolves existed. Well, whatever reason, interjected Apple Bloom, hoping to steer the conversation away from werewolves. I doubt we'll be having any more school until that garlic scene can be removed. Or to at least, like, you know that, Mice Crusaders? Keyword searching! At the same time in Castle Caroline, Discord was busy catching up his quota of hallway paintings turning exactly 3.14 degrees clockwise, when he suddenly had a peculiar feeling. Oh. Like chaos senses tingling. Speed rushing out to find a mirror which he could use to remotely watch the events unfold. Once his scene was actually being at the scene, was seeing how he couldn't leave the castle again without Celeste's permission, there's no way she let him go for something this small. It's good enough for now. Ow! 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 Sorry, but I have to be sure there are real fangs to us! It wasn't commonly known that a Golden Oaks library actually had a basement. It was less commonly known that Twilight had turned into her own personal lab during the 3 years he was a resident there. Like she is a resident now, Fick! You like me so far, don't you? Yes, I do, Fick. Then, are you still going to complain about the Twilight bit? No, Fick. Instead, I'm going to remind you that if you say that Twilight doesn't live at the Golden Oaks Library one more freaking time, phaser to the face! Store that underneath the desk all this time. Every time! Right now, Dust was wishing she hadn't learned what light beneath, and she really felt uncomfortable. Well, okay. He was already uncomfortable on a daily basis since he still felt guilty of Rainbow and being straddled with opening her home to the same pony who nearly killed her friends. Slowly becoming a werewolf was also very uncomfortable. But here, it was like he was a lab rat with a mad scientist alicorn ready to rip it to her any second. Dust, are you okay? Asked Twilight, putting down the sterile sticks to be used to tap against the Pegasus' fangs. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. You know, besides the whole, holy shit, I am turning into a monster part! I mean, with all this, I'm getting the impression you're not exactly comfortable being in my old lab. No shit, princess, thought Lightning Dust. Last time I was here in this town, I spent a month in a hospital, practically tied to a bed, because I was stupid enough to fight a werewolf. Now I'm here turning into a werewolf. Well, you're probably going to start experimenting me soon. The words that came out of her mouth, though, were different. To be honest, it's that pig friend of yours. Pinkie Pie? Yeah, her. You know what I would be if she came in here dressed as a macabre outfit made out of cutie marks carved off of other ponies with an unclean bloody knife, framing how she's going to turn me a cupcake? I would be totally unsurprised. That sums up my feelings right now. I see. That's all Twilight can answer back with. Awkward silence followed for a few moments until Lightning broke it. You know, I probably could regret asking this, but I gotta know. How much longer do I have? Well, said Twilight, stumbling her words, trying to determine the best way to explain what she knew. This is pure conjecture, so I'm not 100% sure. But it's possible you have well over a year before you actually experience turning into a full werewolf for the first time. Then after that, I honestly can't tell you the time frame between then and when your mental state... Hold on, what are you saying? Inquired Dust, having taken a much more interest in discussing. There are two stages to this lycanthropy thing? As in, a step before I wind up not having a clue who I am, wandering around like some canine freak with wings? Yes, replied Twilight, as confused by the question. Werewolves have the ability to go from pony to some kind of pony-wolf hybrid form. The problem you have is that once you actually become a full-blooded werewolf, the curse will slowly... Yeah, the dummy-down thing. That's what I was afraid of. But since you keep saying I haven't undergone some kind of transformation, it sounds like I have a lot more to expect. Twilight levitated a pad of notes. Back when Applejack was a werewolf, she told me a lot about the process of becoming one. Namely, there was a lead-up of minor physical changes he remembered experiencing. Much like the ones you demonstrated, only she took a lot longer to develop them. A month, give or take a week, after Sablelum attacked her. She wasn't sure when the first full transformation was, only felt like her body was on fire and itchy at the same time, or something of that nature. Well, I can't say I've had anything like that, as I told practically every pony in your little circle of friends. The only changes are my teeth, and the need to eat meat. Oh, actually, Twilight's eyes brightened up in the midst of meat. Could you describe what your hunger is like for meat? Lenny could only roll her eyes and sigh, instantly mightily scratching some random itch on her back with a hind leg. Disgusting question by the princess. I'm sure that burning sensation, that first transformation, is definitely more pleasant than that. The next day. Ah, yes. It was vampires who don't like garlic. Not fair, Fista was uncharacteristically present in the Ponyville during the daytime. She was barely nothing more than a faint outline in the light of the sun. Okay, I get your point, angrily replied Diamond Tiara. Silverspoon didn't say anything. Also, she noted Diamond Tiara had been referring only to herself, even though she seemed to be both her and Silver. You made it last night anyway, so why did you want us to come up here? Simple, nonchalantly replied the spirit. The gesture towards the giant water tower nearby, instructing to place at the old water tower, was finally sacrificed to claim rampaging Ursa Meyer. We, and by which I mean you two, will flood her out into the open. The rest realized gas, only Silver finding the words, You want us to flood the town? Vista shrugged. You need much, much more water than what's in that tower. When you burst the valve, when Apple blooms in the scope of the flood, she'll be trapped within the flow she can't cross running water. Wait, are you sure about that? Incredulously asked Tiara. Because if you were running around for centuries in the woods, you had to come across a running stream, or a brook or something that was running water before you died. I don't know what it is, but Sable never wanted to take a chance, so we merely leapt over everything. We werewolves are great jumpers, you know. But Apple Bloom is not the same. She's still youngling. She can't jump as far as I can when I was alive. Plus, She will transform it into a new proper form in public. It's a non-use. Alright then, let's go wait for the Cutie Mark losers. Silver's gasped. Wait, you actually think flooding part of Ponyville is a good idea? Diamond raised an eyebrow at her PFF. Yeah, not like any pony's gonna get hurt. It's just water. Except of course Apple Bloom. You don't have to come help though. Perfectly alright if you're a chicken. You can't live up to our family history. Diamond Tiara just crackled as he trotted off with the fading outline of a ghost werewolf, leaving Silver behind. Now hold on a second. Which ordered Silver. Rusty just joined the duo. Her heart wasn't really in it though. That much she could not deny. This is wrong, she thought. I know Diamond Tiara wanted to expose Apple Bloom, but hanging around this ghost, I had to wonder who is the real danger. And I had to wonder, who are the real cannibals?